In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your very own custom section in Shopify 2.0 on the Dawn theme. Here's what I made. It's just an example. You can make something totally different. I review how you can add your own section, how you can make all the text and all the photos completely customizable and add however many as you want. So if that interests you, go ahead and continue to watch the rest of this video. This is a pretty technical video, so you're going to have to be comfortable working with a little bit of code. Thanks for watching. If you need help with anything, feel free to reach out to me, Martin at martinclayson.net, and I can help you with your Shopify store. Also, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks. So here I am in my Shopify store dashboard. This is just a brand new development store, so nothing has been changed in it at all. And I have the Dawn theme, so this is a Shopify 2.0 theme. It's just the default theme. First thing I'm going to want to do is go ahead and make a copy of this. And so where this is located is if you just logged in, you need to click Online Store, and then this submenu will appear, and you click Themes, and then you'll see this. But I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And this is what you'll always want to do. You're not going to want to work on the live theme and mess with people who might be on your page at the time of editing code. Duplicating it will allow you to preview, make whatever changes you need without affecting any end users. Quick note on that though, if somebody makes any changes to the live theme and then you change themes, then any changes that the other person made are not going to be applied. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, so if I preview this, I'm going to open this in a new tab. Let's see. You can see that there is nothing there. And then if I go into customize, we have all the typical sections, but I'm limited to what Shopify is going to give me. And they have some great stuff right out of the box, but a lot of times you're going to want to make something for yourself or for a customer. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's exit out of this and start editing the code. If we go to the top right here, I can exit. And then on my duplicate theme right here, copy of Dawn, I can click Actions. And then I can click Edit Code, and I'm going to open that in a separate tab just to keep moving back and forth a little bit easier. And now it is going to load up all of the liquid files, and I'm going to minimize templates because the section we want to work on is sections. So I'm just going to click Add a new section, and let's call this Slick Slider. And then it's going to automatically add the dot liquid, and it's going to give us some boilerplate settings right here. It's going to give us section name and then settings. So if I give this a section name, let's call this Slick Slider. And then I'm going to add some text here. That's a markup actually. My very first custom section, and I'm going to go ahead and save that. So now if we go back into our theme editor, so where that's found is back on the dashboard, actions, and or not actions, sorry, customize. I'm going to open this in a new tab as well. And now if I go down to add a section, it's still not going to be there. There's one more thing that we have to do before it's going to show up here. There's slideshow, but there's no slick slideshow. So I'm going to go back to the code, and there's another setting I have to add right here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comma right in front of settings, and then in double quotes, I'm going to call this presets. And colon, and then an empty array, and then we have to give this some curly brackets, double quotes again, name, colon, and once again, Slick Slider. And let's see if saving it works. It took it. And if it did not work for you, you can actually copy everything that's in here, and you can go over to JSONlint.com. I'll leave that link and you can validate the JSON. Oh, something's not right. Oh, I had actually copied in the schema. I just want the JSON. So whatever is in between the schema tags is what you would paste in here. And there we go. So at least you got a demonstration of what happens when you don't have the JSON right. So now that we have this section should now be available from any page in our Shopify store. And when we add it, we should see these H1 tags. So let's go to our store and give that a try. So I refresh my store and I'm going to go down to add section and then show more, and hopefully it's at the bottom here. And there it is, slick slider. So I added that and you can see that those H1 tags, or that H1 tag did show up. And now I can save that and that will be part of the theme. Now obviously that's just a static H1 tag. There would be easier ways to add that to the store. You want to be able to change what that says. You're going to want images. You're going to want a lot more markup than that. So now that we have this established, I will put this template in a GitHub link so that you can use this and just play around with it. But in the next part of this video, I'm going to show you how to add some dynamic content. So I removed the H1 tags and now we want to make some text that is dynamic for our header. So let's create a header, and where we're going to put that is inside of the settings array right here. We're going to pass in an object and we're going to make it a type of text. And so let's put in a comma there, and then we're going to have to give it an ID. And we'll label it heading, and that's what we'll use to reference it later. And then we will give this a label, I think. A label, yep, a label, and this is what's going to show up as what we can customize, and we'll say it, we'll give it a heading, make it capitalized there, and then let's do a default. This is what will show up by default, and we'll call it, just say my custom heading. Let's see if it takes that. And asset saved, so that's a good sign. Once again, just use that JSON validator if it didn't work. So let's add our H1 tag back in, and then inside there we're going to do 2 sets of curly brackets, and then we are going to call section.settings and then the ID .heading. So let's think about that quick. So we are in the section, so we're referencing, oops, I see a typo, should just be section. We're in this section, and then we're looking into settings, so this array right here, and then the heading. And it should actually be ID, I believe. No, I think we want to keep that as heading. So I'm going to have to refresh, I'm going to click save, and now let's see if that is showing up correctly on our store. And it did not, so I'm looking back and I see that there was another typo, settings. Now let's try it again. And now we see we have my custom heading, so I must have had a typo in there. Yep, so there's the default in action. Save and refresh. And there it is. There's the default message that we put in. So now if I go to this slick slider and we see the heading over here on the right side, and if I start typing this, it's going to update in real time. My first custom section. Okay. So I'm going to save that, and now if we go to the store, that is going to show up. So that's still not terribly exciting, but now you can see how you can add dynamic content to your site, even if it is just text. So for the next section, I'm going to make things a little bit more exciting. I'll show you how to actually loop through, let's say, products or something else that you want to create a gallery out of or whatever, and you can loop through those and add that markup to the page, and that's where things start to get a little bit more interesting. And I will save each stage of this, and I will add that to the GitHub repository I'll link with this video. Okay, so I made a little bit of markup with some styling just so we can demonstrate things. So I'm going to copy that and paste it into my file. I will provide this as well, but I don't need any of these body tags. I just need these divs and the styling. So I'm going to copy that and paste that in. So I'm going to put this right below the H1 tag. So there is the markup. I'm just going to save that. And looks like the markup isn't all aligned perfectly. This is actually a lot more fun when you do it on your local environment, which there's a way to do that, but just for the simplicity of this video, I'm not going to do that. But this is just a container, and then it has a title, an image, and then just a little blurb. So there's the markup. I also need to add the styling to that. So I'm just going to copy this styling right here and just put it right in the same file as the HTML, right below and right above the schema. Okay, so now we should have a static element on the page. So I'm going to go over to my page and take a look at that. And here it is. So you can see my static HTML is there, but this is all just static. The photo label and the image and everything else is just static. So I'm going to add some code to allow us to change that. Okay, so under the settings object, I'm going to create another object called blocks. And that is going to be an array. I'll just add the comma now. And inside of blocks, we are going to have another object, and we have to set the type, and it is going to be a column. This is going to hold a couple other settings that we can change. So I'll set the type to column, and then we need to set the name. We'll call it slide. So it's going to be a slide containing the title, image, and description. And then we're going to have some settings, which will also be an array. Holding some more JSON. And the type for the first one is going to be text. We'll make this the title. So the ID for that text will be naturally title. And then the label that will show up on the screen in the editor will be title with a capital T, so it looks nice and professional. So let's save that and see if it takes our JSON. And it did. So this is what we will use to have a custom title for each slide that we add to our new custom section. So let's go back up to our markup, and what we want to do is for each slide we add, we just want to repeat the markup that we have right here. So we're going to end it, or wrap this in a loop, and we will just go ahead and put in the loop, and we'll say for block in section dot blocks. So for each block we add, it's going to return this code. So we'll wrap this entire markup right here in this for loop, and then we'll end it right here, end for, and that should be good. Let's see if it takes it. And it took it, so that's good. Now here in this H2, we want our dynamic text to be shown there. So this is what we just created down here with the ID of title. So we want to add code to reference that between these curly braces. And so that is going to be, we're referencing the block, and then the settings object that we created, and then we gave it an ID of title. So we're going to want to do block.settings.title and save. And I have one too many curly braces there, so I'm going to get rid of that and save again. So I refreshed the customizer, and now under Slick Slider over here, I'm going to click Add Slide, and there's my burger. And if I click on this, you can see that title is up here, and if I start typing, that's going to appear. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a title. Let's go ahead and go big, call it burger, and you can see it appears. Now one thing, you're probably going to want a default there, so I think we can go back into our code, and right here I believe we can add a default. So I added a default of title right here, and so then I deleted what we had and I added another one, and as you can see now there is title, and if I click on this I can change that. So at least there's not just a blank white space sitting there until you add that. So I'll go ahead and click save. And I think I made another mistake that I'm going to have to fix. Right here I ended my for loop, I think one div too many. And if I add a second block, I believe it is going to add a whole container. So let's just see. Yep. Yeah, that's not great. So I'm going to see if I can get that fixed. Okay, and I moved the end for in the correct div spot so that each block is just returning one single div with a title, image, and text instead of an entire container, which results in this. So now we have a container, and I can give these each different names now. So title, I'll change this one to hot dog. So that's great. And we can just keep adding these if we want. Let me just add another one now. And I can just keep adding as many as I want. So next thing we want to do is we want to be able to change images. So I will show you how to do that next, and then we're also going to want to change the description. So I'm going to use the Slick JavaScript library, and I'll provide the link for that. But if you go to usage from the page, you'll see that there are some links, and you can choose get it now, which is what I'm actually going to do. I want to add it right into my code, which is kind of a good idea rather than importing it from an external library where it could change at any point. So I did that and I extracted it, and I'm going to go ahead and upload those into Shopify now. And I see that it wants you to add the CSS, the Slick CSS and Slick theme dot CSS at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. And this is what the folder looks like when it's extracted. Hopefully you can see that, but here are the files right here. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to my files over here and add these to the assets folder. And I'm going to click add a new asset. And I'll put the Slick in there. Looks like that is actually in there, I guess. Not sure why. And then I'm going to add the second one, the Slick theme. And, oh, it wasn't already in there. I could just replace the file I chose. So both of those are in there. I now need to add jQuery and the other two JavaScript libraries as well. And if we look at the documentation, it wants the slick.min.js, which is in the same path. So let me add that one as well. Add a new asset and Slick, and then these two, I'm just going to copy these. And then I'm going to save as, and I download it. You can see at the bottom it says jQuery 1.11. So I'm going to do the other one too. Copy link address. Save that one as well. And then let's just go ahead and upload those. Okay, so some of that legwork is done. Now we need to import those from our assets folder into our liquid file. So above everything here, I'm going to import those CSS files. And you can see how I did that. So the double curly braces, and then you can see there's a filter of asset URL and style sheet tag. So just copy exactly what I did here, and you can see those are the names of the files that I just imported. So we have our CSS scripts up at the top. You can see these are the one they wanted there, slick CSS and slick theme.css. Oh, that's not quite right. And if you look down here on the left, it should not have that min on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that min so that it matches. Then you can see it wants me below all of our markup to import the JavaScript libraries. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will put those right here. Don't need that one. But the same type of thing, the curly braces and the file name coming from assets, except this time it's not a style tag. It is a little bit different. Up here is a style sheet tag. Down here it is a script tag. So I'm going to go ahead and save that now. And everything still looks good here. So now let's see how to implement all those libraries we just imported. And you can see here some demo code, and let's do one where it shows 4 of these slides at a time, and we can click back and forth. This one looks nice, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and you can see our selector. We just need to select the div that is holding all of our elements. So I'm going to select that flex container, and I'm going to paste this code in there, and I'll show you. Back in our liquid file, I'm going to put this right above schema. And for now, I'm just going to add some script tags. And then I'm going to paste in what we had before, or what I just copied from the official documentation. And this is what I need to replace right here. So let's go ahead and look at our markup. So it's selecting a class. Let's look at our class. So here it is. It's custom container. So I think if we replace this, it should work. So where is the selector? Okay, so here's the selector. So I'm going to select custom container. All right, let's see what happens. Save. Okay, and check that out. I refreshed, and we now have a little slider. Just a thing to maybe fix is there's no space in between. Now our shadow box is all screwed up. So maybe I can add a little padding in between them. Okay, I messed around with the CSS and I got looking all right. I would probably play around with it a little bit more, but for the purposes of this video, I think it is good enough. So in this video, you learned how to create your own sections and then play around with blocks so that you can make them fully customizable, whatever text, whatever images you want, however many of them you want. And there's a lot more you can research. It's in the documentation. I will put all these files that I used in the GitHub with a link that I will put in the description, and I'll add a README to that GitHub. So hopefully you can replicate this in practice with whatever you're working on. If you like this video, please leave a comment, please like, please subscribe. I hope to make many more in the future. Thank you for watching and have a great day.